God's blessings to you. What a treasure it is to have this book in my library from D.M. Baillie. It's a book on the atonement, and it's called God Was in Christ. It's an essay on in the incarnation and the atonement. The incarnation is such an incredible, incredible event in history. Jesus lived 33 years, and God's amazing gift to us was his revelation of himself in the form of human flesh, Jesus. And so let me just talk a little bit about this book. This is really a neat thing to have in my library because this is a first edition. This was written in 1948, and as you can see, this is the first edition. So this is the book that came out in 1948, the official first edition. It was on the shelves in bookstores for folks to own. And there are some newer editions that came out in the decades that came out after that in the 1950s and 60s. But who was D.M. Baillie? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about him. D.M. Baillie was a late professor of systematic theology. He is the passed away now with the Lord, and he was the professor of systematic theology in the University of St. Andrews. Dr. Henry Sloane Coffin speaks really highly of this book. He says it's a first-rate theological thinking. It is first-rate theological thinking, put in delightfully lucid English, and we have little really tip-top theology today, and this is tip-top. Just to put it in context, he made that statement back in 1948, and I believe that was true. Mid-20th century, in 1948, there was theology that was being published, but really there was somewhat of a rare occurrence to have a book of this theological quality and nature come out, and I think that's the case, not as much the case today as it was back then. So I'm just going to read the book flap here. The central question within the Christian church has always been, "What think ye of Christ?" This book on the incarnation and the atonement is one of the most constructive discussions of Christology in recent years. And so, yeah, I would highly recommend you pick this up if you want a really classic book on the atonement from D.M. Baillie. You may have heard of John Baillie. John Baillie was the sibling of D.M. Baillie, and he also had written some great works as well. And we'll feature him in another video later on.